Hello and welcome back to Bookish and welcome to Tag Tuesday. Today I'm doing a tag which is really uncomfortable for me, and that is the judging a book by its cover tag. I was tagged by Priscilla over at Evening Reader. I'll leave a link to her video and her channel down below. The reason why this is challenging for me is I'm not one of those people who pays a lot of attention to book covers. Most of my books, if you can see, are paperback books, and I buy them because they're paperbacks and they don't cost me a whole lot of money usually. And so I don't have a whole lot of hardback books, and I think a lot of cover art, things like that, have a lot more to do with hardback books than with anything else. So knowing that, going in and prefacing and kind of giving myself a built-in excuse, some of the answers to these prompts for me are the same book, and that starts off with prompt number one. Prompt number one is just the best cover. And the best cover, oh, by the way, I've taken pictures of all these books for the most part because it is kind of gloomy here and I use natural light to film my videos. So I've taken pictures of the things, and I'm going to try to insert them big enough where you can see them somewhere on the screen. So the first book, the first prompt is best cover, and I'm going to go with Gould's Book of Fish by Richard Flanagan. It's called the title is Gould's Book of Fish, a novel in 12 fish. I read this a long time ago and I really liked it, and it may be an example of a book that I bought strictly for the cover because it has this beautiful drawing, illustration, painting of a fish on the cover. The title is, the cover has purple and gold, and you know, everything about this cover, you know, kind of spoke to me. So I have a feeling I might have bought this book more or less strictly on cover, and thank goodness that I did, because this book is the one which will be repeated in this video. So prompt two is best typography, and I assume that meant on the cover. So I went with Utopia Avenue by David Mitchell. This is a book that's about a band kind of in the emerging hippie music scene of the late 1960s. It's based in London, and this band and its band members run into pretty much every significant figure in the music industry during that time period. And I thought the way in which the letters on the cover were designed really matched the idea of the book. And if you notice, there are even these lines going through the letters like grooves on an old record. If you're old enough to remember, if you've seen or collect vinyl records, then you'll know what those grooves are. And I thought that pretty much matched the book perfectly, as well as the rest of the design of the cover, even though I really didn't like the book that much. Prompt number three is best simple cover. So I'm going to go with my paperback edition of The Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. I don't think it gets simpler than this. Kind of a maroon red cover with gold lettering on it, and the back is essentially a mirror image of the front. And you can only tell the difference in my copy because the ISBN on the back. But that's my example of best simple cover. Let's see. Prompt five is best map. For best map, I went with any of Patrick O'Brien's Aubrey, Maturin, seafaring, adventure, buddy novels, because they had this excellent drawing, which I'm going to call a map, of a frigate, which is the most commonly described ship in the books, which is labels. You know, all the different parts, particularly the sails, are labeled, and so I'm going to count that as a map, and I've always found that drawing to be really useful, which is one of the great things about a map in a book, and I think just really, really well done. Prompt six is best naked hardcover, and I'm going to go with An Inventory of Losses by Judith Schlansky. I don't have a whole lot of naked hardcovers, and I believe Priscilla stole or used the library book as an example of that, for her answer to this prompt. So I'm going to go with Judith Schlansky's An Inventory of Losses. There's something textural about the cover of the book, but also there's this kind of mottled black and white, like stippled look to the cover, which is pretty great in and of itself. It's more or less the same back and front, but it becomes that cover design on the naked hardback becomes even more important when you look inside the book and you realize that those kinds of images are repeated before each of the essays in the book. I enjoyed some of the essays in this book, which are about things that are lost, things that are past, people that won't come back, etc. And kind of meditated on those things. I enjoyed parts of the book. Some of the essays didn't necessarily work for me, but that was my choice for best naked hardcover. Let's see, prompt 7 is book with the best back cover. I went with a collection of short stories by Gabriel Garcia Marquez called Strange Pilgrims, and I like this back cover because it carries over the image from the back, from the front to the back, and there are no blurbs, there's no writing on the back, it's just the image front to back. So hopefully I'm showing you the image of the front and then the image on the back, and how that image carries over. And I like the colors on that image. I like the fact that it looks like it's some kind of folk art that's been done. I really like that cover image, so I went with that one. Prompt 8 is best chapter headers. Best chapter headers, I went with BookTube's own Marc Nash's novel 3 Dreams in the Key of G, which uses these kind of chapter separators, probably not so much chapter headers, but chapter separators, to indicate the shift in perspective between his 3 main characters, some of who represent some aspects of the human genome. As a matter of fact, one of the characters is the human genome, and he has these kind of chapter headers or these dividers which indicate whose story we are hearing or whose point of view we are getting. Some are the man and women symbols, some are hearts, one with an arrow through it, and then we have these twisted strands of DNA as the other. And I really thought that was an incredibly inventive and great way to help readers keep track of these shifts in perspective. And so not only did I find it to be kind of charming to look at when reading, but it also really helps you as a reader. Prompt 9 is the best spine. I went with 2 books here, and these are the recently published latest books by Cormac McCarthy. That would be The Passenger and Stella Maris. When you hold, as you hopefully you're seeing in the image, when you hold the books up and look at the spines, they complete a picture of a person with their eyes closed. And it's kind of ethereal, perhaps slightly creepy, blue-tinged photographs. And I really think that they look lovely. And again, I say this about these covers, even though I didn't really care for either of those books. Oh, I skipped prompt 4. Prompt 4 was best in pages. Let me go back and do prompt 4. Prompt 4 was best in pages, and like I skipped it when talking about it, I skipped it when taking a picture. So I'm just going to try to really show you the in pages from Gould's Book of Fish. Have this kind of pebbly seafloor bottom look to them. I didn't talk about this before, and I've talked about this book many times on my channel. But Gould's Book of Fish involves a prisoner telling a story of being in prison in Tasmania under this really kind of terrible regime, and part of the time he is in prison, he is kept in a cell which floods with water, not completely, but which floods with water twice a day. And when it floods with water, his cell becomes full of fish, and he uses those fish to extract ink from by essentially squishing them and using the fish to. And so the book not only has this incredible cover, but every chapter is printed in different color ink to indicate the color of ink that the main character was able to make from the fish who came into his cell. So let me see now. Where was I? Prompt 10 is where I should be, and that is best drawings. And again, Gould's Book of Fish has the absolute best drawings. Hopefully I'm showing you an example of 3 of the drawings from Gould's Book of Fish. There are these incredible artworks of fish, and they separate each one of the chapters. So I think there are 12 chapters, there are 12 fish, and they're just beautiful and exquisite, and I can't imagine how expensive it was to print that book, and I wonder if the publisher made their money back on it. But easily, Gould's Book of Fish, you should pick up on, is the most beautiful book I own, in my opinion. Prompt 11 is best cover overall. I'm going to go with the classic, and that is the classic cover of The Great Gatsby. This is the original jacket cover designed for Scribners, and it has that blue streak in it, which looks like it might be a tear falling from the eyes on the cover, and really it was just something that happened when the print was being made, and they decided to keep it. I think the cover of this book kind of perfectly captures a lot of the spirit, the essence of The Great Gatsby, and it is a classic. And then there is a bonus prompt, and the bonus prompt is worst book cover. And I just chose, because I have a lot of books with bad covers, I chose The Only Story by Julian Barnes, probably because I've been thinking and talking on my channel. I've been about Julian Barnes recently, and I just thought this cover was really boring. I don't like the color of gold that they chose. I don't like the fact that Barnes' name is in this weird red color, which kind of fades. I don't like the fact that it just has, I think love written over and over again, love is, and then scratched out. I thought that was just really cheesy, so I don't really care for that. Anyway, there you go. There is the judging a book by its cover tag. If you want to do this tag, if you have books and book covers that you just really like and want to show off, please do this tag. I look forward to your comments in the comment section below, and as always, thank you for watching.